Hello everyone, my name is Phawx. In this particular video we're going to be taking a look at Doom Eternal and Celeste to answer the question that a lot of people have been asking me, is the GPD Win3 comfortable to use? The answer is yes, I had to learn how to use the D-pad portion of it. The analog stick portion of it, especially if anyone had watched my quick look video, it should have been apparent that using the analog sticks is rather intuitive. You don't really have to think much, it kind of just falls in place. Now, it is its own particular controller, so you will have to get used to it, but largely you should just fall in line and everything should just work. The problem that I had and a lot of people had noticed was that when I had played Celeste, sorry, whenever I'm talking and then playing a game, my brain shuts off my voice. It says, no more talking for you. Playing FPS dominant games is exceedingly comfortable. Anyone that plays should have zero problem just getting up and going. Much like how you're seeing me play right now. Not that I've had hours upon hours. Honestly, I've been benchmarking more on this device than anything else, especially all day today. I literally spent 10 hours doing nothing but benchmarks. So I haven't even had that much time with it. However, the analog sticks are comfortable. The one thing that I want to point out here, in this analog dominant mode, look at my pinkies. Look at where my pinkies are holding the device up, and look at where my index, middle, and ring finger are. They basically support the back of the GPD Win3. Now, I am not going to move my fingers at all. Just look where my fingers rest. They are nowhere near where this back paddle button is. So, as it is right now, for me to use the back paddle button, I kind of have to hook my middle finger in an uncomfortable manner. Now, there is no real method. It's so far away that I also don't even accidentally press it. So I find it that when it's in this particular arrangement, it's fine. I've never accidentally pressed the back paddle buttons in this pinky out configuration. I call this pinky out, okay? In pinky out, you should never accidentally hit those back paddle buttons, ever. The only time that I was hitting the back paddle buttons accidentally is when I was trying to play Celeste like this. Now, I am overextending, and when I was platforming, I was repositioning my hand, and my ring finger was accidentally actually hitting this back paddle when I was trying to use and finesse the D-pad. So let me go ahead, before I do that, let me go ahead and show the settings. So the settings that I'm using in Doom Eternal, basically it is 720p. It's not native, it's not, it's dynamic resolution scale to hit 60 FPS, so it'll be less than that dynamically. Everything is set to low. I don't know what it could possibly be because I'm not doing any frame analysis in terms of it. Everything looks really good. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to say that this wasn't 720p. But the more important thing here for me is that I'm having a consistent FPS, and obviously in a first-person shooter, you're going to want that. Now, that is Doom. I'll go ahead and end this, just so I can go here, and I'll put this to sleep. This is the 1165 G7 version. I'm going to go ahead and use Celeste on the 1135 G7 version, because that's where I already had it. So I had this opened already. Now, here's the magic sauce on using the D-pad on the GPD Win3. Are you ready? I'm going to engage it in a second. Here we go. Kabam. Ring out. So, whenever you want to play FPS, pinky out. FPS, or if you want to do analog dominant games, adventure games, or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you want to use analog sticks and triggers, pinky out. If you want to use the D-pad and the face buttons, ring out. Now, what's really interesting here is that when I discovered this, basically when people said, hey, when you were playing Celeste it looked uncomfortable, and it was true. When in the quick look video, it was painful for me to do that, even with the few minutes that I was playing it. So I said, you know what, I have to play a precision platformer. I have to put myself in there and figure out what I need to do. Just by moving my ring finger to hold up the device, pushing the Win3 up made all the difference in the world. And more to the point, GPD has said nothing to me about this, but I have to imagine that GPD had noticed this. Only reason being, and it can't be a fluke, is that when I do this ring finger out method, that, again, this is where my hands normally lie when I'm using this. When I'm like this, look at my index finger. You see how it is? That's just comfortable. I'm not positioning it or anything. It's just comfortable to be like that. If we look at this and you flip it over, my index finger lands directly in the middle of those back paddle buttons. Directly in the middle of them, on both sides. Now, I can't reach up here with my ring fingers down. My index fingers are just not long enough. I can't do it. So I have to imagine that GPD noticed this and put the back paddles here so that the D-pad and the face buttons were more comfortable to use, because this makes sense like this now. Unfortunately, my back paddles don't work just yet. The firmware for them are not complete, so I have to wait for that. Now, the firmware is much like how I updated the firmware on the GPD Win Max when they got updated as well. But this has been super comfortable. I played for an hour, and I've been able to use this perfectly, which has really changed my entire mindset on this device, because how could you have this lovely Vita D-pad and not have it be in a comfortable position to play? So just doing ring out, and then also the back paddle buttons to give you 2 additional buttons to press. So now you have effectively 6 buttons, which is good for basically fighting games. Very Banjo-Kazooie. Yes, yes. Alright, I didn't want this video to be very long. This is not really a demo of game test video. This is more a focus on how to use the controller well. Obviously, everyone's hands are different. This is just the arrangement that I had to land on to use the D-pad and the face buttons correctly. More to the point, these back paddle buttons are now comfortable to use. So, again, GPD has not said anything to me. I just have to imagine that they noticed it and they put them there on purpose, because, I mean, my hands, I can't... It's alarming for my index fingers to just square at home right there by just making it ring finger out. So again, these are things that I would advise to you when you get your GPD Win 3, especially if you wanted to play D-pad exclusive mode, D-pad centric mode, instead of using analog sticks. If you're going to use the D-pad, ring out. If you're going to use the analog sticks, pinky out. That's it. That's my input. Since doing ring out, my impression on the D-pad has changed considerably. I now actually enjoy using it. That's it. So again, I'm still doing tons and tons of benchmarks. I'm going to try to have videos out for you guys every day if I can. Sorry for not putting out a video last night. I did pass out. But I am doing record benchmarks. I'm just gunning through a bunch of benchmarks. I hope to have a full review before Indiegogo goes live. I have a few more bits of information that isn't really revealed yet, but I'll be able to reveal more. I have done battery charging tests. I'll have battery discharge reviews on what you can expect on battery life. I'll have basically what you can expect with a more in-depth review. It shouldn't be as long as my quick look, but I said that before and it went over an hour. As always, guys, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.